Okay, so this is the Bosma X1 indoor security camera, and this is the version that comes with the motion sensor as well as the doorbell sensor, or rather doorbell button. And what's really neat about this security camera is that it can do a lot of pretty interesting things. And some of the things are, it can start recording when it detects motion, and then it can do things like night vision mode, and then it can also rotate in 360 degrees and a ton of other cool stuff. So the box comes with a few things. As I mentioned earlier, it comes with the security camera, it comes with the doorbell sensor and the doorbell button, as well as a 6-foot USB-A to micro USB cable. So you may notice that it is a pretty unique looking security camera. Most security cameras are pretty small and like roundish looking, but this is like a tall and slim looking build. And I think it really has this interesting form factor. It's tall, it's slim, it looks pretty good overall, especially with this aluminum metal all black finish. So with the top of the camera, you can see here that it has this twisty part, and this thing is the 360 degree rotator. So it can spin 360 degrees one way, but it can't keep going all the way. You have to kind of spin it the other way if you want it to go 360. It's not fully 360, but it's pretty much 360 degrees. Now let's talk a little bit about the other accessories that it comes with. And one of the accessories is this motion sensor. So basically it comes in these little two parts, and it's meant to attach to either your door or your window. What you can do is basically attach one part to the frame of your door and then the other part to the swinging part. And basically when one part opens, they connect like this, and then when the door opens, it triggers a notification that goes onto your phone, and you can see that somebody opened the door or window. And then another thing that it comes with is this doorbell button. And this pretty much works the same way as that, where it sends a notification to your app, but instead of a swinging motion, all you do is you push the button, a little click like this, and it sends a little notification to your phone. And something that's interesting about these two accessories is that when one of them gets triggered, you can tell the camera to rotate in a specific direction. So for example, if someone pushes this button, you can tell the camera to rotate towards the door to see who's at the door. So it'll quickly monitor a section of where you want it to record, where the people are pushing the button, and then it can go back to where you want it to record, where the doorbell is not located. So I think that's pretty cool that this camera can cover multiple locations while having different accessories that kind of work with it. Let's fire up the app and run through some of the settings that you can use with this phone. So when you sign into the account, create your account and have the app and everything ready, you're gonna see this main homepage screen here. So the first thing you're gonna notice is that you have to, or at the top, you can add a device with this little plus icon at the top right. So here you can see some of the devices you can connect. You can connect the camera, the sensor, the doorbell, and a few other things. And then the next thing you're gonna notice is this big graphic here. And this is basically the security camera window. So as you can see with my hand in front, it's recording. So that's pretty cool. And then you're gonna see security mode in the center here with the three icons. Away mode is basically when you're away from your house or office, and anytime there's motion or if the doorbell button or sensor gets triggered, it's gonna notify you. And then home is, it's pretty much completely off. And if you move your hand in front of the camera, or if there's motion or anything, it's not gonna notify you. And then disarmed mode over here, if we turn it on, it's pretty much working, but it's not gonna notify you anytime there's any activity happening between any of the devices. So that's kind of the difference between these. So I would recommend leaving it on away mode when you're away from the house, and then when you're at home, you could just click disarm. And then on the bottom here, you can see event history. And these are some of the events that happened. You can see things like the door sensor, you can see some motion that happened, and it basically keeps track of anything that's happened while the camera was on away mode over here. If you look at security mode, it's on away, and that's the only way it can record stuff. So now we're gonna talk about some of the features that this camera can actually do and some of the settings you can play with. So we're gonna click on the camera at the top here, the graphic. And then you can see here a little timeline, and you can go back in time to see when something happened, and all of these orange bars are when there was motion detected. So if I go back a little bit on the timeline, you can see all of my history. And what's cool is you can just go back to a specific point. It's gonna load and buffer the video, and you can see me over there on the computer, and it's detecting some motion. So it can get a little bit trigger happy if you have a lot of motion happening. So I would adjust the sensitivity on that, which I'll show you how to do that in a second. And then if you go down, you can see these little arrow keys. This lets you churn the camera, and right now I'm holding the left one, and you can see it's churning, and here I am. And then you can turn it back right, and it can pretty much spin all the way around just by holding this button. And then in the center, you're gonna see this talk mode, which basically acts like a walkie-talkie, and it's a two-way communication system. You can talk to your phone, and it'll come out of the camera speaker, and then you can talk into the camera. There's a little microphone at the top here, and it'll come out of your phone. And on the bottom of the app, you can see a little snapshot button. We're gonna push that, and it takes a little screenshot, as you can see, and then you can view all your screenshots in the event settings. And listen mode pretty much lets you listen to what's happening around the camera through the microphone that's built into the security camera. And then auto rotate, if we push that, it's gonna just kind of keep panning around. As you can see on my screen here, I'm not pushing any of the buttons, and the camera is twisting. And then once it twists all the way this way, it's gonna twist back the other way, and it's just gonna keep panning left and right in a 360-degree angle. And then if we click on pictures, it lets you select some settings like the sharpness, the saturation, the brightness, and the contrast. So if you're in a dark environment, you can always adjust that, or if you're in a light environment, you can darken it, and just a few other settings. And then it also has a siren, which is pretty much like an alarm, and it's gonna go off so that it can scare people away or notify you. So here's a little test on what that sounds like. It's definitely loud enough to scare off intruders to the point where they'll get scared, and they'll probably just leave the premises and not want to trespass that area again. I mean, at least if I was trying to rob something, I would be pretty scared of that sound right there. And you have even more options if you push the settings button at the top right. So you have notification preferences. So it's gonna ask you when you want to record, and I only set it here on only when there's motion detected, or if any of these accessories trigger the recording. You can also set it to always record, but that's gonna rack up on your space pretty quickly, so be aware of that and be careful and know how much space you are limited to. And then you can record by sound. So if the camera detects sound, it'll trigger the recording, and then it'll also notify you based on sound. Or motion, which I have it just set to motion. And then you have sensitivity options here, which lets you decide the level of sensitivity. So if you set it on low, something has to really move dramatically in front of the camera for it to capture it. But if it's set to high, the littlest thing will trigger the recording. So I'm just gonna leave it on medium, and I found that that was pretty helpful to me. And then interval basically is how often it records again after it finished recording something. So if somebody walks by, it's not going to record anything until 1 minute later, and then it'll record the next thing. So you can set it to be like every 5 minutes or 10 minutes. It's really up to you. I found that 1 minute is works for me, I guess. All right, and then recording schedule. You can set a little schedule here to when you want it to record. So if you're away from your home and you're at work, you can set a schedule here to where it's only recording while you're away. But I have it set to always record 24/7. And I think that's cool because I wanted to record at night and while I'm at home to see what's happening. Sometimes I like to know when a delivery guy comes or something like that. And then video is pretty much the video. You can disable that if you just want the accessories and the sound to work. I want the video, so I'm gonna leave that on. Colored night vision. I don't recommend using colored night vision because it doesn't really work that good. I would recommend leaving this off because the black and white captures the quality much more clear. And then share over here is a pretty neat option. You can invite your family members into the app and then have them also monitor what's happening and see pretty much what you're seeing as well through the apps. Accessories, these are the accessories that you connect to the device. So you know, you can connect the doorbell and then the motion sensor, or rather door sensor as well to this, and it's gonna display all of them here. And if you actually click on it, you have a few settings that you can mess with the accessories. So here is the door sensor, and right now I have it set to open. The battery is 100%, and it gives you some pretty interesting settings that you can play with here. Something to note is that you can adjust your notifications. So if the door sensor is triggered, you can set it so the siren will go off, or if it's just gonna notify you through the app. And then preset camera position is basically when something is triggered, like this door motion sensor, you can tell the camera to turn a specific way for a few seconds, and then it's gonna turn back to recording where it originally was. And that's pretty much the settings for the devices. And then speaker volume, you can adjust how loud it is. So if you're speaking through it, or if you want the siren to be louder, you can do that. I have mine set to pretty low because this thing is already really loud, and I'm kind of scared to hear how loud this thing is on loud, because even on the lowest setting, it's like super loud. And then SD card, you can see how much space you've taken up. So I have a 32 gigabyte in there, and all I do is I record motion, and as you can see, it still has a lot of space available, and I've pretty much been recording myself all day at the computer, and it's really not taking up that much space at all. So this camera is definitely unique in many ways, and what makes it unique is that it's meant to be paired up with a lot of other devices like this doorbell button and the door sensor, so to make the most use out of it. And I think that's pretty cool how you can really pair up different tech to make it, you know, function in interesting ways. So I think that's a very unique thing about this camera, and I don't really know of any other cameras that actually do that. So it definitely fills a need in the marketplace, and Bosma definitely did that, and they did a pretty good job at it. So if you're interested in getting this camera, you can buy just the camera alone for $100, but if you want to buy the camera with the kit included like I have here, the total is going to be $120. And it is a little pricey compared to a lot of other cameras out there, but it does fill an interesting role / need that many or no security cameras fill, where you can trigger the devices to work together to achieve a certain effect. And yeah, it is pricey, but Bosma did include a 20% discount code for this video. And if you want to get a 20% discount code, I left the code down in the description below. So be sure to copy that code into Amazon, and you can get a little discount and get it for a little bit cheaper. So that is the end of this video. If you like this video, I would really appreciate it if you like this video. And if you want to see more videos like this in the future, I review keyboard stuff, headphones, other security cameras. Make sure you guys click that subscribe button, and I'll keep y'all in the loop on what's happening in the tech world. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.